Hi everybody, I just finished an audit committee briefing on the transportation budget. You know, the transportation budget for transportation is almost $6 billion, and that includes GPR, which is general purpose revenue, and federal dollars. Transportation is really important to our state because it's important for safety, and it's important to get people to work, and it's important to grow the economy in our state. And right now there's a big dispute about how much can we spend on transportation, because we have lots of priorities like Medicaid and education and higher education. But transportation can't be put on the back burner. We've got to make decisions, because we have like $6 billion and we have a lot more costs that will be entailed if we accept our transportation projects. So in other words, we don't have enough money for the projects we want to do. And that's why we're going to be having a heavy debate on transportation, because the governor has said we can only raise taxes for transportation if we have subsequent decreases somewhere else. And that to me is reasonable and logical and desirable, especially for the taxpayer. But there are some in the Assembly who feel no matter what, we've got to raise revenues for transportation, because we're just on a downhill slide with transportation if we don't raise revenues, call it gas tax or registration fees. So we're having this big debate, and I'd really appreciate your ideas on what we need to do. What do you think we should do? The audit rather, looks like this. It's a big document. We have an independent audit bureau who's just like an audit company or department of any private business. They go in and audit the agencies that we ask them to. And it's a really great asset to the legislature to have the good information that the audit Bureau brings us. What they tell us is the management of the DOT is not as good as it needs to be, that there are some issues that need to be addressed, like the type of information we get as legislators to make decisions on the budget. They feel this information needs to be more transparent and more complete and more accurate. They think that there needs to be more performance standards met. Right now, the department has performance standards that they have, but they don't check them out and say, okay, you're meeting your performance standards in the southeastern part of the state, but you over in the southwest are not. I'm not saying that's true, but the performance standards are not checked out by the management, which is really reckless management in my opinion. And then there's the issue of how do they budget? Well, what happens is when the road projects are what they call enumerated, they are accepted as being on our priority list, they aren't estimates for contingencies that might come up, or estimates of inflation, or estimates of things that could happen, which I call contingencies. And so projects can cost a lot more than what they were estimated to cost in the beginning. And sometimes it might take 10 years for a project to be enumerated or agreed to be put on the agenda and then actually initiated in construction. And so we have to hold the line on spending, and we have to make sure that these estimates are more accurate. So we're going to ask the Department of Transportation to come back in 6 months and give us the way they're going to change their operations to be more cost efficient and effective, and be more on target with what's estimated to be the cost and what the costs really are. Now, I'm not trying to draw a really, really dark picture of this, but I'm trying to tell you that for the Marquette interchange, which most of you know very well about, that came in on time and under budget, which was fantastic. The zoo interchange is going to cost about $1.5 billion, and we don't know right now if that's going to be on time and on budget, because at any given time, the DOT can't take a snapshot of what the actual costs will be in the end. And that to us is not acceptable. So we're taking a really good look at the Department of Transportation, how they're being managed, how we can be more cost efficient and effective, and how we can go forward to determine our transportation priorities. But the good news is the governor appointed a new secretary for the Department of Transportation. His name is his name is Ross. I'm drawing a blank on his first name right now. And as many of you know, Secretary Gottlieb was head of transportation for several years, since 2011 when Governor Walker took over. Secretary Gottlieb quit and Secretary Ross was appointed, and Secretary Ross has the right attitude. He thinks this audit is giving him good information. He agrees that the priorities in the department need to be realigned with our ability to pay, and he agrees that there needs to be more streamlining of how decisions are made and about how performance standards are being met and how cost estimates are being drawn up, and that the cost estimates have to include inflation, contingencies, and other issues. So in the end, our projects will cost more what was in line with what we thought they would cost. So that was a really good discussion. It might sound like insider baseball to you, or it might sound just like your business, or it might sound just like sitting at your kitchen table saying, you know, what do we want and what can we afford? Because that's the debate we're going to be having with transportation. And we have to, first of all, make sure that our roads are safe and make sure we're accountable to our taxpayer. So keep me tuned with what you think should happen. Do you think our roads are in good enough shape? Do you think that we're making the right investment in transportation? Or do you think that you, like many people around our state, feel like we have a lot of frills and extras on our transportation projects, like roundabouts or decorations or different issues that you think aren't base to the transportation needs? Some of the people will say, let's have less but better. I think that's what we heard today. We want to make sure we have good transportation. We want to make sure that we're safe. We want to make sure that we get people from home to work. We want to make sure that we grow the economy and have transportation as an asset. So give us your ideas about what we should do. Keep tuned. It's going to be a very hearty and challenging discussion, and I need your input. Thanks a lot for being in tune. Take care. Bye-bye.